what are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz
is us.
Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome back to Closing the Gap, the truth about Black wealth. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. Of course, I'm here today with Ms. Keshee Smith. Been having wonderful conversations. She's been very enlightening, uplifting. Hoping you're getting as much out of this as I am. I'm always, blessed to be in the presence of people who are, all about serving people, helping people, because I believe we're all truly blessed to be a blessing. And within that, Keshee, your role as, leader and CEO of Real Health, you get to see a lot of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
A lot of disparagements between kind of haves and have-nots, and, we've all, of course, kind of coming out of a pandemic, so to speak, of course, with COVID. Tell me, what have you seen from your side of the table in regards to kind of the health disparity in our community?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen is we haven't been prepared, whether you're in a metropolitan, urban, or rural community. I think the way in which we govern the funds that are sent out to help communities in situations like this definitely have to improve. We're very grateful for the funding that we receive. And I will say that the timing of programming that allowed for funds such as PPP or funding from Congress has definitely helped some of us stay in business, most of us actually. I would say that once we get it, it's the organization piece that was hard. So from local government to county officials, to hospitals, urgent cares, primary healthcare organizations, we learned a big lesson this year that creating a systematic approach to how do we just offer primary healthcare in general and specialty care is something that we have to focus on moving forward, because doing this during a pandemic, which none of us were prepared for, showed us so many gaps. How we're not communicating as individuals and what our communities need, and which individuals in the community, need access to certain care and, et cetera. We did our best. And I commend everyone involved that was on all the Zoom calls every day, all night, just trying to get to the next day, coordinating who had what vaccine, who could do what test, for the school systems, the housing authorities, for even local small businesses. We did our very best, and there were a lot of lessons learned. Now that we have seen a downward turn in the COVID variants that have come out, we're now trying to improve our internal processes of how do we keep our doors open even if an uptick happens again, which we know one is actually brewing. But I think the people in the community, they get it. They get it now that when you see the news, you hear the officials advising you on getting vaccinated, on social distancing, on wearing your mask. People have been more receptive because they want to live. We've seen so much loss that people are now saying that I want to live. I want to be good agents of change in my community, and I want to be responsible for living in my neighbor living too. So I think moving forward, even looking at the common cold, looking at the flu, looking at, shingles, we're gonna look at it all the same. They're viruses, that we're all trying to prevent from turning into a pandemic. And we wanna do our parts at making sure that the right resources from an educational perspective down to preventative care is there in every community, regardless of the size.
Yeah, and really what I hear from that is basically we want to start to be more proactive than reactive.
Yes.
And a lot of us, of course, we think that a lot of things are kind of common sense, but we've learned, I think common sense is not common in today's age and time.
No, it's not.
A lot of things we think should be second nature and processes that we think are in place, they aren't. And it's really because we just haven't experienced them.
Right.
So a lot of times, unfortunately, in business and personal life, and we've all experienced it to various degrees, no one wants to address the situation until the situation happens.
Right.
And then we always want to, think about the best, but not plan for the worst. And, my philosophy, obviously as a financial advisor is, I'm a person that believes in planning for the worst and then hoping for the best. And it's what I tell my clients all the time, because life is going to happen and none of us are immune to it. Yeah. So, you know, we like to think individually that, oh, this company's prepared, the government's prepared, but in actuality, we've seen that we're not prepared. Right. So I think it's upon, you know, it's all of our, you know, obligation to do our very best to make sure that we're assisting and helping and not being a deterrent. Right. You know, social media, I feel like it's played a huge part in a lot of the misinformation and bad information that's been out there in regards to COVID and everything else. And I think that now, you know, going through this situation, I think the government's learned lessons, the local government, state government, of course, and obviously the healthcare providers. Yeah. I think we're all kind of learning that we need to be on the same accord and one accord. And I think we're headed in that direction. Obviously, I don't think we're there yet. Right. A lot of it has to do with politics. So I'm not big on politics, and you hear different messages from different sides. But I think we can all agree that there was definitely too much loss. Yes. And I know you actually saw that from your position, you know, far more than I did. But I think that, you know, because of individuals like yourself, you know, boots on the ground, you know, actually seeing what's going on, wanting to be an agent of change, being hands-on, I think that's going to lead to greater change. And, you know, like I say, you know, we're blessed because you're trying to be a blessing to others. So, you know, the work that you're doing, helping the communities, is helping someone like myself who may not be actually even going to that particular type of facility. Mm-hmm. The people I come in contact may be coming. And if they're going and getting better care because you set up a facility where you can get the best health care to the least of us, yes, it automatically trickles up and helps the best of us. Absolutely. Be back in a minute. Welcome to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, where our goal is to change the financial landscape of the African American community by providing the best of the best in financial professionals to help close the gap on financial wellness, wealth creation, and wealth transference. We're continuing to expand and grow our reach and add qualified advisors to our team. Help us to teach our community how to create generational wealth. We're looking for passionate, selfless, and professional advisors that pride themselves in the core beliefs that education plus expertise leads to proper execution. So if you think this opportunity may be for you, ask yourself this question: what is your why? And if the answer is you want to be a professional, successful advisor that makes a positive impact in the lives of all you come into contact with, contact us about joining our team today. As we look to move forward, continue to be a blessing to those who would never come into contact with by creating a successful financial plan today. Welcome back to Closing the Gap, the truth about Black wealth. Of course, I'm here picking back up where we left off with Ms. Keshee Smith. Keshee, I want to jump into the life of a Black female CEO. You know, I understand, like I said, obviously I'm a Black male, and I, of course, have my own company, all that kind of good stuff. And I understand the challenges that I face, and experiences that I've had, you know, in, you know, dealing with corporate America and, you know, being a business owner and, you know, all the challenges that kind of come with that. And, you know, the different personalities we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, from whether it be employees or, you know, constituents and whatnot, you know. But as a Black woman, that's a totally different experience than what I have. Yes. And obviously, it's, you know, like I said, some people say it's a double negative. I see it as a double positive. You're female and you're Black, so I love both. You know, but, you know, what has been your experience, you know, positive and negatively, you know, being a Black female CEO, and a lot of times being the only Black woman in the room at a lot of these different, you know, functions that you're attending? Yes.
So I would like to say the biggest, whether positive or negative, is managing expectations. Coming in my 30s, female and Black, has been both intimidating to most and overwhelming for me, because I feel like walking into a room where I'm the only person I can identify with, asking for mentorship or asking for guidance may not be an option. So putting those three things aside and just going off intellect, experience, and industry, I've had to learn how to navigate those waters. So back in 2016, I walked into the Alabama Primary Healthcare Resource Network, and it was 2 Black female CEOs at the time. A year later, I became one, but there were other Black males. And so mentorship was offered. However, the age became a factor, because some people may have felt like, how is she achieving this at this age? And again, going back to faith, it was not where I saw myself at all at this age, but grateful.
Favor ain't fair. Continue.
Very grateful, very humble. My posture was humble, but also my posture was I deserve to be here if I was placed here.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to shy off being someone who knew what they were talking about or was capable. So I had a lot to prove with my board, with my employees, everyone in which was just a little bit older than me or more seasoned in the field. So I had to take those change agent skills and figure out all the problems and opportunities for growth in this organization. What made me grind harder was it was home. So at the time, the organization was turning 40, and I wanted to be here another 40 years. And I want to be a part of this organization's legacy and history of pushing it forward. So for me, walking into rooms and it was just me, I just developed this mindset of, and that's what it is. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to speak my piece, do my work, I'm going to support the initiative at hand, and I'm not going to see those things as Black female CEO at this age as barriers. I'm going to see it as an opportunity to change the game.
Absolutely.
So
not just in the room, I'm the best in the room.
right.
Well, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, I believe that, what you give out is what you get back.
Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer. I believe I'm the best at my job in every way, shape, form, and fashion. Does that mean I'm the most analytically gifted in every area of finance? No. But one thing I do tell people is that you can't care more than I do.
Right.
I care about the people that I work with. I think that's what separates, the best from everyone else, is that, someone can maybe study a little bit more, be more gifted in one particular area. But what I can control is how much I care about the person that I'm working with. And for me, that's the differentiator. A lot of people can do a job and have a skill set and can do it very well. But if they don't care as much as I do,
Absolutely.
They're not willing to go where I'm willing to go. They're not willing to put in the time, energy, and effort that I'm willing to put in. And I feel like that's what separates, the best, like I say, from everyone else. And I mean, in you being a change agent and you being a service first person and you putting the organization before yourself,
Right.
That speaks to the success that the organization has had while you've been there. I don't want to toot your horn a little bit, but did a little background and research on you, and I'm gonna let you kind of shine a little bit. And can you talk to us a little bit about the growth that you've been able to provide for rural health under your leadership?
Absolutely. So when I joined, and I actually turned 6 this year, this month actually, rural health was about four and a half, I'm gonna say, because it was a brand new clinic when I got there. And now we've grown to 9 clinics. We're in 2 new counties and we have 2 mobile units, where we went from seeing about 48 to maybe 5,000 patients. We're upward of 8,200, even during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
As far as funding, we went from an organization receiving only about $3.2 million from the federal government to now operating with grant funds of upward of $10 to $12 million, in addition to now having a true revenue from insured and uninsured patients of over $2 million. So when you put that together, you see an organization that grew from having the minimum coverage as far as who you are and what you do, to not seeing as many people across 4 counties to now 6 counties, and you're reaching more people. Not only that, we grew from having about 30 employees to now almost 80 employees, including contractors. So the organization has almost doubled in size, doubled or tripled in revenue, definitely doubled in staffing, and we're just getting started. So my encouragement to anyone that wants to walk and operate in this is it takes time, it takes passion, and you have to be willing to do what others are not to press this vision forward in your community.
Being successful is doing what others are not willing to do. She's a true example. Back at you in a minute.